What's going on, everybody? It is yours truly, Jay Smoothie, here to give you the preview to NFL Week 5 and, of course, College Football Week 6. A lot of crazy games on the slate this weekend, on a non-fight weekend for all my fight peeps out there. But anyways, let's run through last week real quick. Of course, let's start off with the fact that Tua got knocked the hell out, man. Tua was stumbling and fumbling and bumbling around like Chris Berman doing primetime the week before. And then this game, he gets hit so hard that he's curling up doing the fencing pose on the ground, looking like a deer that's been hit by a car, throwing up gang signs, and his hands are literally having rigor mortis on the ground. I believe the doctor that was in charge of looking after him was fired. So yeah, Tua got knocked out of this game, and you can clearly tell that the rest of the team was shaken by it because the Cincinnati took over and won the game. They now have Bridgewater to lean on as well as Matt Moore. Not good at quarterback. Tua's going to be out for a while. His career is certainly not going to be the same if he ever comes back, that's for sure. So Miami, I would start to panic a little bit because your franchise is now in the hospital due to negligence. Somehow, Minnesota beat New Orleans in, I believe, the first London game of the year, 28-25. And only won because the Saints kicker hit a 61-yarder off the left post and then the middle post, double doink style, basically double bounced and got out. Minnesota wins by the skin of their teeth. They're not going to be so lucky in the coming weeks, though. And as for New Orleans, shit, Jameis is out. You have to rely on the Red Rocket, the ginger guy, Dalton. That's not good. As a guy who has witnessed Dalton get his ass kicked in the NFC North for a long time with the Bengals, I can tell you now, Saints fans, you have a reason to panic. Andy Dalton ain't good. Up next, a tank bowl in which Atlanta comes out on top 23-20. Jacoby Brissett looks like a formidable backup for Watson, and he's been doing a good job holding down the reins. But in this game, they lose. I would say the one thing different about this one right here is the fact that Atlanta was pretty much, I mean, they were never really out of it. It was always a close game, and Atlanta is a very scrappy team at the end of the day. They're still rebuilding as well, but with a win like this, the rebuild will be in the right direction. However, if you want to rebuild, I imagine, and tank, I think the goal is to lose games, and if that's the case, Browns are the real winners here for not winning. Speaking of tanking and rebuilding, oh boy. Baltimore coughs up a 20-3 lead to lose 23-20. Didn't score a single point in the second half. This is now the second straight lead that they've blown, I believe, at home. And all I got to say is 0-2 at home ain't good. And losing the past 5 home games going back to last season, not good. A lot of injuries like Justice Hill popping his leg. Jimmy Smith literally retired on the spot. Marcus Peters almost went full Draymond Green on John Harbaugh. It was an ugly scene in Baltimore. Baltimore has every right to panic. Buffalo, them boys looking good. They still have some work to do on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball. They got to give fucking Smith more options for a running game, because if Smith has to be the running game, it's good, but it's also not great. It's like with the Ravens. Having Lamar Jackson as your running game is awesome, but if you don't have another running back to help him out, then that running game is going to fall flat. So Buffalo, get you a running back. And of course, the Washington Commie Commanders get kicked in the face by the Dallas Cowboys on the road, 25-10. Cooper Rush is looking amazing as a backup. He's also playing some bum teams and scrub teams, so this will help him out a lot. And it also gives Jerry Jones a reason to be giddy. He's going to act like there's no QB competition, but we all know what the deal is with Jerry Jones. He doesn't want to pay Dak Prescott what he's owed. He doesn't want to pay Dak Prescott what he deserves. He wants to pay him at the league minimum, and then, as soon as he asks for more money, bring in a quarterback that's better than him for cheap. So I see what game Jerry's playing here. And as for Washington, oh boy. All I got to say is it's a good thing you drafted Sam Howell from the University of North Carolina to be your starting quarterback in the future, because Oh my goodness, Carson Wentz is awful. I see why the Eagles got rid of him. I see why the Colts got rid of him. And honestly, Washington is better off without this bum. I know that him and Taylor Heineke are just, placeholders for the eventual takeover of Sam Howell, who looked amazing in preseason. But still, both sides of the ball struggling, but the quarterback situation is just not good. Carson Wentz is a bum. Seattle beat Detroit in the highest scoring game of the week, 48-45. Highlight here, Geno Smith outplayed Jared Goff. And Geno Smith is a top 5 quarterback so far through 4 weeks of the NFL season. And Geno Smith is also outplaying Russell Wilson in Denver, which we're going to get to a little later, but oh my goodness. If you would have told me Geno Smith would be a top 5 quarterback this year, I would have laughed in your face. Shout out to the homie Teddy T, one of my good friends who is a Seahawks fan. He is loving this shit, and honestly, I'm loving it for them. I like that the Seahawks were able to put together something with Geno and work with Geno. I thought Geno Smith was going to run this team into the ground with some of the shit I've seen him do. But you have to remember, he did that shit in New York with the Jets. And once you're a Jets quarterback, your career goes to die. Just ask Sam Darnold. Just ask Zach Wilson now. Just ask Joe Flacco after he got his face kicked in by his former team. I mean, if you're a Jets quarterback, you're pretty much doomed. The goal is to not be drafted by the Jets. No disrespect to Jets fans and Jets lovers, but it's ugly. At least this past week it wasn't ugly, though. We'll get to that in a minute. The Chargers beat the Texans 34-24. It was a very close game. The Chargers put it out in the end. Let's see. Even with some injuries, they were still able to play pretty good. I would have to say the Chargers are still on shaky ground when it comes to being a good team. They have some work to do. Of course, the Texans are cannon fodder for all the good teams in the league and even some bad teams that want to actually win. And up next, dare I say, one of the worst performances. Well, actually, this past week, yesterday, was one of the worst performances by Matt Ryan. But Matt Ryan didn't do too hot here. He loses 24-17 to the Titans. Titans are still a fraudulent-looking team. I don't trust them. Colts, they're dead in the water. Both teams, awful. Giants won 20-12. Chicago dead in the water. They're about to lose the Commies next week. And then the Giants, well, let's just say the future ain't looking too good. It's looking good right now. And to be honest with you, I love their new coach. I love the new Giants coach. I feel like the new Giants coach is going to get them right. He needs at least a season or two to get this team right. I think this year they're going to win some games. They're going to be competitive. And, they're going to surprise some people, but they still need a year to get it right. I like the direction the Giants are in. It's a slow burn in terms of their progress, but they can get there. It all depends on how they do for the rest of the season, obviously. But good win against the terrible Bears. Eagles beat the Jaguars 29-21. The Eagles win by 8. They're cruising, they're flying, and they're looking for a bruising because every team they faced, they pretty much look great against. And as for the Jaguars, they lose, but they still look pretty good. They're still a year away from being something special. I think the Eagles have a chance to be something good this season. I don't know how far they're going to go, though. I think a lot of the experts and pundits are overrating them. I think they're good enough to reach the playoffs, obviously, and have a good little run there, but nothing more than that. I think the Eagles maybe are like a year or two away from being a serious contender, especially now that Jalen Hurts is figuring out how to play football at the NFL level. The Jets surprisingly beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-20. The Steelers benched Mitchell Trubisky, which is further proof that they never should have signed the bum to begin with. They should have let him rot. I think he was in Buffalo after that failed run in Chicago. Should have let that man rot in Buffalo. Should have let him, just pretty much die out there. But they have Kenny Pickett in there now. They have Mason Rudolph as the backup, as a third stringer, because we all know he's a bum too. But Kenny Pickett threw 3 picks in his debut. They were not his fault, but I'll say this. You're being thrown to the fire early, and you throw 3 picks against the Jets. That's not good. Your last name is Pickett, and all you're doing is throwing picks against the Jets. horrible. Absolutely horrible. The Jets get themselves a big win. Hey, let's see the Jets do some winning this year. Let's see the Jets actually have a good run. I'm tired of them always being the laughing stock, always getting kicked in the face, and being disrespected. I would love for them to go on a little bit of a run. And yeah, I would love to see them go on a little bit of a run. But let's see what actually happens with that. Arizona beat Carolina 26-16. Cardinals get a bounce-back victory. Still look shaky and suspect even in a victory. And Carolina, well, they suck because they had Baker Mayfield baking up turnovers back there as quarterback. And when you have Baker Mayfield as your leader, well, the only place your team's going to be led is straight to hell. Green Bay, 27-24 over the Patriots. And I believe the quarterback situation in New England is not looking good, and the rest of the team ain't looking too good either. Belichick is he's looking like he's a day or two away from a heart attack, losing a fucking heartbreaker to the Packers, which was shocking because I thought this would be a blowout considering the quarterback competition. But nope. Green Bay hangs in there. Belichick tries his best. It was a Belichick versus Rodgers type of game instead of Brady versus Rodgers. But in the end, the quarterback beat the coach. Belichick, you may want to go home. You're kind of washed up there, brother. Let's see. Look at the Raiders getting themselves a victory, a convincing victory over the terrible Broncos that we're going to talk about again in a little bit. The Raiders needed this. They need a momentum swing. McDaniel needs to get this team on the right track. Derek Carr needs to start putting some wins together, and that offense needs to start putting some wins together. And, I mean, the defense is good, but that offense needs to show the hell up. And they showed up in this game, but I got to say, Raiders, good first start. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's see how far we can take this. Kansas City beat up on the Buccaneers 41-31, and the Buccaneers are down bad. The Buccaneers, Todd Bowles is taking a leave of absence. Tom Brady has now lawyered up as him and his wife, Gisele Bündchen, are now divorcing, which means that Tom Brady is under a lot of stress, which means that, hey, his escape might be on the football field, but let's see how long that escape is actually going to last. And as for the rest of that team, I mean, Cole Beasley just retired. A lot more of those weapons of the Buccaneers are going down, and I got to say, they're not primed for a playoff run or even a run of the division. Kansas City in prime form, obviously, but the Bucs, not so much. They're looking ran and shot. 49ers beat up on the Rams 24-9. The Rams look like garbage. They've literally been in a Super Bowl hangover since the beginning of the season, and it looks like it's only going to get worse. San Fran, they're doing the damn thing with Jimmy G, and Trey Lance popping out that ACL might have been the best thing that ever happened to the 49ers. I wonder how that's going to work, because they probably feel stupid considering they tried to get rid of Jimmy G just last season. So now, folks, it's time for Week 5. It started last night with the worst Thursday night game ever in the Broncos and Colts. It was 12-9. The Colts won in overtime, but it was a god-awful game. I didn't even bother to go over it because I knew it would be terrible, and I'm glad I was right. It was not good. But these games will be good, though. Giants, Packers, and London. I mean, hey, Giants are only at 8-point underdog. They just got to win. They got a little bit of momentum against a division rival of the Packers, a team that the Packers owns. Well, Aaron Rodgers owns. So give me the Packers. But I imagine the Giants are going to make this a fun one. Make this as good of a game as the first London game between the Vikings and Saints was. Seattle, New Orleans. Ooh, give me Seattle. Why are they +5? Yeah, Seattle has +5 doesn't make sense to me. Give me Seattle. Give me the dog. Give me Geno Smith to outplay Andy Dalton and the Red Rocket and those struggling Saints. Let's see. Jaguars over Texans sounds good to me. Give me the Jags. We all know the Texans are basically cannon fodder for decent teams or teams trying to become right or get right. Steelers, Bills, give me the Bills. The Steelers are trying to break in a new rookie quarterback that just threw 3 interceptions against the Jets. He is now going to face the Bills and probably going to get his ass kicked by the Bills. You can see why that 14-point line. So give me those Bills, baby. Falcons and Bucks. Give me, you know what? Give me the Falcons. Sounds crazy. I know Brady's playing better. Actually, you know what? Give me the Bucks. Because divorced Tom Brady, his only escape is that football field. And that's why he plays so amazing these days. At his age, he should be ran through. But now that he's divorced, and ball is life for that guy, football over family, he's likely going to win because football is literally the only love that man has in his life, and that must be a good thing to have. Titans and the Commanders. Give me the Commanders. The Titans are fraudulent. No clue why they are favorites. I know it's the Commanders. They're not exactly they're not exactly a team to trust. But the Titans definitely not a team to trust. That team is tanking fast. And by the way, the coaching situation there might be getting ugly if they lose to the Commanders. Mike Vrabel, that seat is going to be hot a little bit, like he's sitting in a pot on a stove. So give me the Commanders here in the upset. Give me the Vikings over the Bears. Come on, Vikings, don't fuck this up. It's the Bears, for Christ's sake. Jets, Dolphins. I'm not going to pick the Jets here. I want to because Tua got knocked out, but I think Teddy Bridgewater is good enough to beat the Jets. So give me Miami. -3. Let's see. Chargers, Browns. I'm going to take the Chargers over the Browns. I like Jacoby Brissett as the, just the temporary leader of the Browns, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to beat a team like the Chargers. I think the Chargers continue their momentum and their little winning streak. Give me, sounds crazy here, folks. Give me the Lions over the Patriots. The Lions are an exciting team to watch. They put up a lot of points. They play no defense, but when they are only within 2 points of a victory, they're bound to get one. The Patriots quarterback situation is god-awful. The play calling hasn't been the best, and Belichick looks like he's ready to snap and Draymond Green somebody in the face. So give me the Lions for the upset. Dan Campbell and them boys in Motor City. I'll take the 49ers over the Panthers. You already know how I feel about Baker Mayfield. Baker only bakes up turnovers because he sucks, and really his last name should be Midfield because the man is middle of the pack in terms of quarterbacks. And Jimmy G has actually been further, I believe, almost went to a Super Bowl. Actually, I believe he did go to a Super Bowl, but yeah. Give me the 49ers. Cowboys, Rams, give me the Cowboys. The Rams are on struggle street, and I believe we're going to see an upset. Cooper Rush going to outplay Matt Stafford. Sounds crazy to say, but it could very well happen. Give me the Eagles over them Cardinals. Them Cardinals are about to get shot out of the sky like a bird being hunted. Bengals, Ravens. The Ravens are pissed. They're at home. 3.5-point favorites. They have lost 5 straight at home going back to last season. And you know what? Until they break that streak, I don't trust them. Give me the Bengals on the road. Plus 3.5 points. They're the dog. They beat the Ravens twice last season. Beat them twice. And they had a combined 941 yards in both those games. The majority of those yards were achieved by Jamar Chase. Give me the Bengals here. I need the Ravens to prove to me that they can win at home. They haven't shown it in 5 straight home games dating back to last season. So show me something, Baltimore. Show me something, Raven Birds. Until then, I ain't picking you. Going for the upset. Raiders, Chiefs. Oh, Chiefs. Sorry, Raiders. It was a good it was a good win that you guys got, but I think it's going to end here. But then again, the Colts got the Chiefs on a bad week. Maybe the Raiders could too. It's only 7 points. One to watch, ladies and gentlemen. One to watch. And I believe that is that's the Monday night game this week. Holy shit. Because Thursdays, the Commanders and Bears. We'll get to that next week. But to recap the NFL, I'm going to go Chiefs. Bengals for the upset. Eagles. Cowboys for the upset. 49ers. Lions for the upset. Chargers. Dolphins. Vikings. Commanders for the upset. Buccaneers. Bills. Jaguars to win by 7. Let's see. Actually, no, I'm going Seattle. I'm going to go Seattle for the upset here. Seattle for the upset. Let's see what else. And the final game. The Packers over the Giants. Now, folks, it is college football time. It is time for the college picks. And I already have my college picks written down, ladies and gentlemen. So, my upsets for this week. My upsets for the week. I have 5. I have UNLV, I have LSU, Virginia, Bowling Green, and UCLA. I'm just going to run right through them. UNLV, they play... Yes, here they are. UNLV Rebels, San Jose State Spartans. They play tonight, actually, and they are a 6.5-point underdog. I think they'll be a sizable one. They're not that bad of a team. I think the same record as San Jose State. And I'm surprised San Jose is favored as high up as they are. It's a little bit reckless by the odds makers to put them so high at 6.5 to handicap it so high. But give me UNLV. Second game is LSU. By the way, I have 2 picks for this. Go over. Over 64.5. I don't really do overs here, but Tennessee and LSU don't have any defense. They have no defense. It is non-existent. These two teams are going to light up that scoreboard. It is going to look like you're playing NCAA 2008 from back in the day, or you're playing Madden now or something. Like the scoreboard is going to be ridiculous. LSU, take LSU 2.5, but then take the over 64.5. Because both teams are going to light up the scoreboard. So even if you don't get LSU, that over is probably going to at least help out your parlay a little bit. So you have an option there. You can go for LSU, go for the over in the game, or go for both. And you should be in good shape. Up next, after UNLV, LSU, third dog, those Virginia Cavaliers. I picked Louisville as a dog earlier this year, and they have... They came through for me, I believe, twice, and then their momentum stopped a little bit. The Virginia Cavaliers are only 2.5-point dogs. This is a very close game because both teams pretty much have identical records and identical resumes. So I anticipate a close game. I think it'll be close enough to where Virginia can pull off an upset. They can stay within that 2.5 range, maybe hit the 3. But I'm thinking Virginia can make this a game. They have the same high-octane offense as the Cardinals. They love to run the ball. They will air it out if necessary, and the defense will do enough to keep the offense in the game, depending on the opponent. I think, considering these two teams are pretty much even, I think it's going to be even-steven, and these two are going to put up one hell of a game. The over 50.5, I don't think will hit, but I think it's something to look at. Just something to look at. Just something to look at. By the way, shout out to my Maryland Terrapins, who are only a 3-point favorite. Holy shit. Only a 3-point favorite. Love to see that. I'm not going to add them on the slate, obviously. I mean, if I'm going to pick a favorite, I'm probably just going to add them. But as far as dogs go, leave that game off the board. But yes, Virginia as a dog, 100%. Go all in on that. Up next is Bowling Green taking on Buffalo. Now, this is a bit of an under-the-radar type of game. But both these teams are pretty much identical. They play the same. They have a tendency to go back and forth in these types of matchups. There's only a 2-point difference between these two teams. I think Bowling Green can pull it out. Usually in these type of Conference USA matchups, or I would say these types of matchups where you're going to see like the Buffaloes, the Bowling Greens. You're going to see Miami of Ohio. You're going to see Northern Illinois, like Central Michigan, like schools like that. You're going to get a lot of close games, a lot of high scoring, and not a lot of defense played. I think Bowling Green can outgun the Bulls in a shootout. It's going to be a very close shootout between these two schools. That's pretty much how they play in that conference. So go ahead and give me Bowling Green the Bowling Green Falcons at +2. And the final dog for the week, UCLA over Utah. Now, I faded UCLA when they were playing Oregon. I believe I left them off the board. Big mistake because they'd pull off the upset. UCLA is only a 3.5-point dog against Utah, and I believe UCLA can pull this one out. I believe that their offense is proven to at least fit the system of Brian Kelly. Like that Brian Kelly offense starting to, not Brian Kelly, Chip Kelly. The Chip Kelly offense, Brian Kelly in LSU, but the Chip Kelly offense is starting to come across, is starting to work, pretty much starting to come together now. Took them a little bit, but now the offense is starting to click. The defense still leaves too many points on the board, but against a Utah team that will put up points, but then the offense will sort of gas toward the end of some games. I think UCLA is going to outlast them here. War of attrition type stuff. So to recap, I have 5 dogs plus a bonus over-under. We're going to go UCLA 3.5. We're going to go Bowling Green +2. Shout out to Maryland, by the way. Virginia +2.5. LSU +2.5. And also the over. Take the over of 64.5. I think it's going to hit because these two teams have all offense, no defense. I expect high scoring. So LSU. And then a dog for tonight's games. UNLV and San Jose State. I'm going to pick UNLV +6.5. So, folks, those are my 5 dogs of the week. UNLV, UCLA, Virginia, Bowling Green. Hold on. UNLV, LSU, Virginia, Bowling Green, and UCLA. So those 5 dogs. And in the LSU versus Tennessee game, pick the over. 64.5 points. Pick the over. Folks, thank you all so much for tuning in this week. It is yours truly, Jay Smoothie. I hope you all enjoy the games this weekend. Football will rule the weekend, considering there's not much else going on in the world of sports. But I hope you all enjoy the games. Make sure you tune back into the Rush Hour Sports Network when the games are done, so I can wrap up all the coverage for you, and of course get us ready for the next week. Folks, thank you all so much for tuning in. Yours truly, Jay Smoothie, is out.